everybody and welcome. I'm Claire from Thirsty Brush, guest presenter on Create and Craft TV. And thank you very much again to Tony Darroch, and thank you all for joining me in the Stamps by Me studio today. So in a few minutes I'm going to be showing you brand new paper pads and some techniques you can try at home. In the meantime, just watch this quick crafty video and I'll be back in a moment. And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Just a few quick announcements before we head over to see the new papers and the demonstrations. First thing, thank you everybody for your patience around the Christmas products being on the Thirsty Brush website. They're all now loaded on there, so they're all available straight away. And actually we've put a special offer on for you until 9 AM tomorrow. There's 20% off all of the Christmas products from the Thirsty Brush very first Christmas collections that we've done this year, so that's great, and thank you again for waiting. Next thing is if you search in the Thirsty Brush website FBL, as in Facebook Live, FBL in caps today, anything that you see that I'm using during the demonstrations that will come up on that list then, plus all the Christmas stuff, so you don't have to go searching around for those products, which is fantastic. Check out this week's blog as well. I hope you saw on Tuesday we relaunched the blog, hopefully with some more exciting content that you guys have been asking for around specific techniques and products, going right back over our back catalogue for our new joiners and followers of Thirsty Brush. So to find that, you just go to the thirstybrush.co.uk website. At the top there's a menu. Click the drop down menu and there's a blog option there, and you'll see there's plenty of old content on there as well that you can go through and watch, learn how to do all those techniques. So that's great. A couple of last things. Subscribe to the Stamps by Me YouTube, both for content from Tony from Stamps by Me and myself then. I'll be here every Thursday at 3 PM. But the videos will get uploaded as well if you haven't managed to catch us live, and Tony does her lives as well on Monday and Wednesday, so if you subscribe you'll be able to get all of that content. And finally, before we start, we're going to be launching a brand new paper pad today. Our previous paper pads have had so much good feedback, and it's been a joy to demonstrate them to you. So again, with the launch today we're going to be doing a giveaway. So if you comment on the video below, any comment at all, just let us know that you're watching, tell us what you think of the demonstrations and of the papers, and about halfway through today's streaming we will pick a winner. So I think it was Margaret won last week, so I think she was really pleased with her papers, so again a chance for somebody else to win today. Brilliant. Shall we get on with some demonstrations? Before we actually start making a card, let's show you the paper pad itself and all the different designs. So as the previous ones that we've done from Thirsty Brush, they're 12 by 12 papers, 200 GSM, and they're uncoated, so that allows you to do lots and lots of different techniques. Heat embossing, you can watercolour onto them as long as you don't completely soak them. They die cut beautifully. If you've got things like the pillar box die that we've done before, and the seed packet is amazing with these papers. If you have a look at all the different designs as well as I go through, there's 8 different designs and 3 of each. Some of them have got these beautiful backgrounds in and these lovely flowers and leaves. They have a similar feel to some of the leaves that were in the, I think it was the Salty Leaves pad, because we've done quite a few. So some of the designs on there are similar but in a different colourway. So they will coordinate with your previous pads as well, which is amazing. And never to forget, the front cover you can also cut up and use, so never ever waste this along with your other papers that you'll be treasuring. I know lots of people buy one to sniff and one to use or stroke even, but do use the front cover as well, because these little boxes here are perfect for your smaller cards. So shall we get on with the first demo? If I'll just pop that to the side and get my bits here. I'm going to be using this particular paper from the pad, which has got this lovely huge big flower on. And we're going to do a little bit like last week, do some fussy cutting and see what kind of card we can create. I'll show you the kind of look we're going for. This is a card from one of my design team members, Kerry. She's layered up some of the flowers and she's put some ink behind, so I'm going to be doing a similar effect but with some watercolour today. So let's have a look at the paper pad first, the paper sheet, sorry. And you'll notice on there are tons and tons of all these flowers in different sizes throughout the sheet, and because they're really nice and clear, they're super easy to fussy cut out. So I'm just going to quickly go around a couple just to show you how easy and quick it is. So what I tend to do is, if I'm not going to use the one next to it right now, I'll just go in with a bit of detail, so I'm not cutting into any of the flowers that I might use at a later time, but the white bits I can just cut roughly around those and then go back in and get the detail. What's really good about the designs where they overlap with these watercolour areas is that even when you fussy cut them, it doesn't matter so much that they've overlapped, because you really won't see it and you won't notice that within your design. Just get that bit out of the way. So I'm just going to go around in a little bit more detail, but they're so easy and clean to cut out, and the quality of the paper is really amazing. I wanted to make sure that we got you the best quality paper that we could possibly do, so you can do all your lovely techniques with them, and it's not just too flimsy or even too stiff a cardstock for you to be able to die cut. They do look amazing matte and layered as well, which we'll do on the second demonstration, but I really wanted this one to show you how you can really snip into them. So if you're watching today for the first time, hello and welcome, and everybody that's come back as well after watching last week, it's a pleasure to have you back. I hope you've had all a good week and kept dry out of the rain as well. So nearly finished with the fussy cutting there, just a couple more snips. But because these are kind of loose watercolour designs, we don't have to be absolutely perfect, although you can enjoy the time to get every last little bit. There we go. So nearly done on this one, and then just a tiny bit to trim on the other. So we're going to layer up these flowers then on the card. And where Kerry created a really inky background, I think possibly with distress inks, I'm sure she'll comment and let us know, look like distress inks to me. I'm going to create a watercolour background and show you how to do that with some of Tony's watercolour. If any of you have bought any of the other paper pads over the last few weeks that we launched on Create and Craft, or last week's Sunshine Magnolia launch here on Stamps by Me YouTube, please let me know what you think. Have you made anything yet? Have you received them? I'd love to know what you think of them. I was really pleased with the designs that we've gone for, because I just really wanted them to be versatile for you, so you could get the most out of them, but as well for you to be able to coordinate them with lots of Thirsty Brush, other designs, stamps, stencils, and of course your Stamps by Me and anything else you've got in your stash. So just before I carry on, just a quick one. So the giveaway we're going to be doing at 3:30. So do comment if you want to be part of that and win one of these lovely paper pads, just like Margaret did last week. Okie doke. So to create the background, I'm going to matte and layer just some metallic card onto a large, I've got a 7x10 card here. I'm getting into these larger cards. And just as on a side note, we are bringing out some metallic card ourselves at some point, so do look out for that. But to do our watercolour background, this is Tony's Stamps by Me Carter watercolour card, and I'm using the slightly smoother side today. And I think some of you might have had these as well. These are on the list when you put FBL in the website, but lots of you have already got them, which are Tony's watercolour paints, the pan watercolour paints rather than the tubes. Right, let's talk through what we're doing here. So I'm adding some just water to my palette so I can get quite a light shade, and I want to pick up in the blues in these flowers, because you'll notice in the pad there's lots of these lovely blues and pinks, which is where the Bermuda Breeze name comes from. So I've diluted it quite a lot, and I've got quite a large brush, and I'm going to put some colour down and then go around it a little bit with some just water on my brush and bleed it out. So I'm going to have areas of more concentrated colour, and then areas where I add a bit more water and let it bleed. I'm going to build it up and build it up. Might have some more concentrated dropped in a little bit as well, just to give it a little bit of depth and variation in the background. And I'm going to have it all coming from the kind of one corner, and then have the flowers overlapping, so this watercolour background will kind of peek out from underneath those lovely flowers. So this is quite a large brush, but use whatever you've got at home. If you've only got a smaller one, it's not a problem. It just might take you a little bit longer, but you'll see I'm using just a light dabbing motion just to let it blend out. This watercolour card can take quite a lot of water. And just keep going until you're happy. So anywhere here where it's dried a bit with a line, a harsh line, you can blend out on this card with some water. And I've left some little white gaps as well, just to allow some white space, which kind of breaks it up for the eye. Okay. Just going to dry that off with a heat gun. So do have a go at some watercolour backgrounds at home. If you haven't got any watercolour paints, or you don't feel confident at this stage to try it, some of the backgrounds in the Bermuda Breeze paper pad will work perfectly in here. You could cut out a section or use a whole background. Particularly, I think there was one with some splashes, I'll show you in a moment, that could be used. So when drying off paints, I don't normally waft the paint, the heat tool when we're heat embossing with powders, but here we don't want to keep going over the same area. We don't want to risk burning the card or drying it out too much. We're just taking the moisture out of where it's wet. Nearly there. Just the last couple of little bits that are still a little bit wet in the corner. So you can see there the nice variation in the colour by adding some of the more concentrated colour with the brush, and then other areas where it's been blended out. Okay. So that'll give us a nice variated effect. Lovely. So let's get, I've got some other flowers that I've cut out as well. So I've got quite a few here. You could even add some splashes onto your design. Oh, that was it. I was going to show you one of the papers in here. If you don't feel too confident with watercolour yourself, then this would be an ideal kind of background to put behind the flowers or other stamps that you've got. So let's build up these flowers onto the design. I want to kind of put some of the smaller ones on top, so I might glue those first with some wet glue, and then decide where the flower itself will go. So they layer really nicely together. That one and that one, and then leave this kind of medium-sized one on its own. So this is all just from one sheet, so you really can get a lot out of there. So then to decide where I want to put them before I construct the card. So I might have them kind of overlapping a little bit. Yeah, I think that's quite nice. Right, let's stick the background on, and then I can layer up those with a foam pad and add some sentiments. So in with my gold metallic matte layer and some wet glue, or you can use tape, whatever you've got to hand. And like I say, this is a nice big 7x10 card to really show off the size of those flowers. And then to pop on our watercolour background. And I'm going to have the watercolour bit in the bottom right hand corner, I think. I'm just going to press this down quite firmly because it's where we've heat set it. The card has walked very, very slightly, but once you hold it down with your wet glue, that will be fine. I like pin flare because it does set, you have a little bit of wiggle room, but it does set quite quickly as well. Lovely. So to add a little bit of extra dimension, let's pop those flowers on with some foam pads. And just to decide whereabouts we will pop them, do we say about there? And I'll trim off any excess, so don't worry about it's overlapping for now. It's just about getting your positioning right first, that you're happy with that. And I tend to like things coming out from the corner because I think it gives it a really nice kind of natural look. Just to overlap them. And then this last one, might have to cut this pad down a little bit. This one's a little bit smaller. And again. And we'll have that one down in this corner there. Lovely. Let's trim off the excess and then we can finish with a sentiment and maybe some little embellishments. So I'm just going along the card. You could even turn this over and go through a paper trimmer if you wanted it absolutely spot on. and I'll be showing you in a few minutes the some more samples from the design team, which are absolutely amazing. You wait till you see what they've done with this paper pad. I'm looking for, I had a friend cut out from the friends and family. Have I dropped it? No. Might have to add that on after. I've got the special. So just to mention, our friends and family die set, I had cut out the special and the friend, and I've layered up a couple of them just to make it a little bit more robust and almost like a little chipboard embellishment. So I was going to add on special friend, but it might just have to be special for now. But you can add on the friend bit. But there's loads of different family members on there. There's loads of different ways to say, like mom and mam and all that kind of thing. So any family member or friend that you've got, plus there's extra names in there, such as not names, sorry, things like number one and best and things like that, so you can mix and match those. So a little bit of embellishment now, just with some sequins, and I always tend to add them in groups of 3s or 5s on a card. Pop my glue down first and then just pick up a couple. These are kind of clear or white, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. When I go back to the other card that Kerry had done, I'll show you how she embellished hers as well, which will give you some other ideas and options. So don't forget to comment. We're coming up to, got about a few minutes or so to comment for you to go in the drawer. There we go, so we've got 5 there. 5 flowers and 5 sequins. And that's the first card finished then. Again, if I bring in the one that Kerry did, so she just layered 2, she's embellished with some heat embossing with a pen and actually some washi tape there in the background as well. So that's a really other nice way to do that. But have an experiment and fussy cut into your papers and play around and see what you can do. So just before the draw, shall I show you some other samples from the design team of the papers, and then we can see who's won. Let's bring in some of these. Right then, so we've got one from Leanne. She's used it as a lovely background. She does this nice technique where she die cuts the sentiment into the paper and then stamps after. Leanne's just stamped the lovely Special Day Magnolia onto there and the hello there. Kerry's made this lovely gift bag, so they're good. So it is a good weight as well for making little gift bags and tags. Right, so we have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. So the winner of the lovely paper pad is Enid Laverick. Well done, Enid. Shall we show you what you've won again? So here we go, Enid. This is what you've won. It'll be in the post to you. So we've got 8 designs. Let's just flick through them again for you so you can see all the lovely things that you're going to be making with these. I can't wait for you to see them in real life, so I think you're going to be really, really pleased with the designs and the quality of them. Loads of lovely flowers, loads of lovely pinks and blues that are going to go with so many different themes and designs for your makes. And I know you make some lovely cards. I've seen some of your stuff on our group as well. So while we're on that, actually, just to mention, we do have a Facebook group called the Thirsty Brush Brushettes. So feel free to join. We've got over 600 crafters now on our Facebook group, Enid included, and she and loads of other crafters post all their makes with all their Thirsty Brush lovely stuff, and we all help each other out with techniques and questions and all that kind of thing. Loads of crafty chat on there, so do join. So back to our samples. This is another one from Kerry, and she's actually made a really lovely guy card. We all know sometimes it can be difficult to make cards for guys, but she's made number one boyfriend, again from the friends and family, and she's cut the lovely leaves into panels there behind, which is amazing. And another one that with the same paper that would be really suitable for a girl or a guy. She's actually clear heat embossed on top of that, which gives it a really, really lovely shine. A few more samples for you and then we'll get to the second demo. As I was saying, the papers go really lovely with stamps that we've got. So these are our lovely lilies and even the Home for Christmas, which will be in your 20% off actually. It's been used for a welcome home card here, and that's a Home for Christmas dies. So they really do mix and match beautifully. I was saying earlier about using the cover. These little 3 panels here have been used by Leanne from the cover, and then this lovely huge, really clean and simple card, just layering it up, nice sentiment and some metallic card there as well. And then Leanne makes, I need to write up the instructions for this. She makes the most amazing envelopes with the Thirsty Brush cards. So she set a template for us, which I will make sure I share on the Facebook page for you all. But just to show how beautifully sized and how they make a really lovely sturdy envelope. So maybe you've made a card and it doesn't fit into your standard envelope, or you just want to give a more interesting envelope, because we make all these cards, make them beautiful, and then sometimes we stick them in a white envelope and we want to make it a little bit more exciting. So haven't they done some beautiful ones, and they'll be sharing lots more on social media as well over the coming days. And let's make our second card. Just grab our bits and pieces. So this time we're going to mix it up and show you how the papers work beautifully with other Thirsty Brush products. So you may have this in your stash. If not, please use something else that you've got, another stamp, and try this technique and see what you can come up with. So this is the Modern Floral and the coordinating die, and you get these beautiful sentiments, large and small ones, and dies to go with those too. So I'm actually going to do some heat embossing for this because I think it's time we did a bit of sparkle. Just grab my Eureka. And I'm going to heat emboss onto some black card to make the silver that I'm going to use, silver powder, really pop. So the lovely large stamp, you do get 2 different sizes of the design, but I want to make this really the focal point of the card. So I'm going to use the larger of the 2. Don't forget when you're heat embossing to use your anti-static bag. That's just going to allow any of the powder, that embossing powder that you're using, to only stick where you want it to and not all over your paper. Or sometimes it sticks to things like a fingerprint, or if your card's got a little bit moist anywhere. So you won't see much probably as I'm doing this, but as soon as we put the powder on and heat set it, you know, if you've never seen heat embossing before, this is one of the techniques that got me really into stamping, because I thought, not only do I need to stamp with black or grey ink, or your colours even, you can make these beautiful effects with shiny, glittery, metallic-y powders, and it just looks amazing. So a little bit of card or paper underneath, just to catch your spare powder. And I'm going to use, let's use a platinum sparkle and give it some real depth. We'll do a bit of colour on it as well. And then we'll mix it in with some papers just to show you how they coordinate lovely. Oh, see if I don't spill everything anywhere. Biggest pot ever as well, and I managed to spill it. Tony will be telling me off for making a mess in a studio. She won't let me back. Lovely. Let's just heat set that. So already we've got a bit of sparkle there, but just watch what happens when we add the heat. So as we were drying the watercolour earlier, we were moving the gun around. When you heat set, you keep it still until you see the powder start to change, and it will go from a dull sparkle to a really, really glittery. Once I've gone round, I'll get see if the light can catch it. So it doesn't take long, just a couple of seconds in each area, and chase it round. And this is a really, really lovely big stamp then for you to get all that lovely shine. Fantastic. Okay, so let's add a little bit of colour. I'm going to use, I don't know whether you saw Tony launch some oil pencils. Couldn't get my words out then. Oil pencils that had some really, really beautiful colours, and really nice way to add almost a little bit of shine to your designs. So let me grab a couple of colours and we'll show you how to do it. So these are the ones, the Maya. And to go with the papers, I'm going to pick a couple of blues for the flowers and a couple of greens. In fact, I think I've got one of these flowers already die cut with part of it done, save you watching me colour the whole thing. Oh, here we go. So I've started on this one. So I've got a few different shades because they blend really beautifully. So I've started off adding some darker colour near the middle, and I'll be able to show you here then how to blend it out into the lighter colour. So I've taken a darker of blues, add it in the base of the petal. In fact, you can do more than one petal at a time. Normally, if I was doing watercolour, I would do one petal at a time and then let it dry. But because these are pencils, you can very, very quickly add your base colour in and then pick a slightly lighter blue. Add that to the rest of the petal, but just go maybe in some circles just to blend in so you don't get a harsh line between the two colours. And they give a really lovely texture and colour pop even on black card like this, so it works perfectly with your heat embossing techniques. You'll notice I'm turning the card round rather than leaning over with my hand. Not only is that to be able to show you a little bit easier, but it stops any of the colour coming off on the base of my hand there. In fact, it kind of goes to my nails, doesn't it? My navy blue nails today. I must have been subconsciously thinking of how all these colours go together. So again, if any of you got these pencils and tried these on either mine or Tony's stamps, let us know what you think. But they were, on this particular stamp especially, they were lovely in all these nice big areas. Nearly done on the flower, and then we'll just add some colour to the last few leaves. Again, you can spend a bit of time really enjoying the colouring process and making sure your blends are absolutely perfect. I'm just popping some quick colour down here really just to show you the technique and effect. But what I love about colouring is really getting into it and taking a bit of time, and that's what the thirsty brush designs really allow you to do, because the composition is there for you already, the design is there, you can really practice your colouring techniques. In fact, you may have seen on social media the last few days I've been talking about my new workshop studio that I've opening in Birmingham. So again, if you want to learn any of these techniques and try them out in person with me, check out Thirsty Brush we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and we're launching all the details of all our new workshops so you can pop in. Lovely, last little leaf there, and let's get this card together. So you can see that gives it, with the silver as well and the glitter, that gives a really beautiful effect. Okie dokie. So this one's going to be a 5x7 card. If I can find my card blank gone somewhere. Oh, I used it for my heat embossing powder. Right then, so 5x7 card blank. I've got some black paper as a matte layer, just to bring the whole thing together because I've stamped onto black and there's dark in the leaves on the paper. I just really think it brings it together and frames your artwork beautifully. Then we've got this lovely leafy 2 different leaves pattern from the paper stack, the Bermuda Breeze. Which is going to go on top. Just cut them slightly. I normally go about 1/4 to 1/2 inch smaller on each layer. Next layer is a little bit of vellum, and just very, very simply cut with just a stitch circle I had. But again, use whatever you got in your stash, whatever shapes, or you may have bought Tony's shaped creative cards the other day. They would be fabulous. Then let's add the stamped flowers with some foam pads. Because we're using black card, I'm going to use a couple of black foam pads just to hide those bits. And let's add, this is from the same stamp set, the Modern Floral. And it's the lovely friend sentiment, those big words. And I've just cut it onto one of the matte layers and heat embossed it again. So I'm using little tiny foam pads on this so you don't see any of the workings behind your beautiful card. I wish somebody would invent foam pads that are easier to pick off when you've got false nails. That would be nice. Last one. And I think I'll just lay that near the bottom. And there we go. I was going to add some gem embellishments, but to be honest, I don't think it needs it with the heat embossing on the sentiment and the flowers. So hopefully that shows you that they work beautifully with all your stamps, and have a play with, see what you've got at home as well. Should we have a look at the 2 cards together just to go through the different techniques that we've tried? Let me just grab the first one, hiding under my samples. Here we go. So we did some beautiful watercolour background with fussy cutting of the flowers, of these lovely loose watery colour type flowers, and just embellished with some sequins and the nice friends and family sentiments. And then on the second card, we've used the paper as a matte layer, picked out some of the colours in that when we're stamping with heat embossing with the Modern Floral, and then added a lovely big sentiment and layered over some vellum, so you get a nice little peek of your papers there as well. So I really hope you enjoyed that today, and got some new ideas and techniques to try out with the papers and with some other things that you've got in your stash. So just to finish off, don't go anywhere, we've got another little crafty video for you to end in, just to give you a recap on the papers, the Sunshine Magnolia that we did last week. And I will catch you at 3 o'clock next week. Bye.